Hey guys, Kaiser here, coming at you with another replay from my best of 7 cast with Dunamai over at ESOCTV. Now for today's video, let me set the stage. Frontline was up 3-0 over JulianK. Frontline was able to use his skills at microing units to slowly chip away at JulianK's forces, gain momentum, and ultimately overwhelm JulianK's more economic defensive strategies. But then in games 4 and 5, JulianK came back with an aggressive strategy that surprised Frontline, getting the win and putting him on the board. Here in game 6, JulianK has the momentum, some wind in his sails, but he's still fighting for his life in this series. One more win for Frontline will earn him the series win, and he's got to be adapting to JulianK's new approach. Meanwhile, a recently reworked civilization is waiting in the wings.
The matchup, it's India for Frontline, and would you believe it? It's Russia for JulianK.
Yes! Yes!
There you go, Russia appearing in Game 6 of this best of 7.
Thank you. I love it. Now,
let me just update everything, and we can just go right in. The game just began.
The next question I have for chat, I would have made this a poll if I didn't already have the current one up there. All right? The next question I have is, will we see Poruchik? Are we going to see the new unit? Will we see... wasn't there some bonuses to the recruit as well in Age 2? There's a new card or something. Are we going to see these new Russian strategies brought in with JulianK's Russia? That's what I'm wondering.
So, without further ado, we're in Cascade Range. For those joining us, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have on the southern part of the map with the one and only Russia, JulianK, on the color teal, against Frontline in the color blue, playing India.
Russia versus India. All right. Now, if I'm not mistaken, India had received a little bit of a nerf with this most recent patch. Isn't that right?
I think you're right. I can't remember the exact content of this patch. This patch is very new, so even the caster has to become more familiar with it, because that was quite the patch. I think it was pages and pages long. A lot of meta shifting around, and also a lot of the attention on Russia, because there was quite a lot of changes for Russia. So I'm really excited to see how what's JulianK's take on this new Russia.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to check that out as well.
So, for those unfamiliar with Cascade Range, a little bit of not backstory, but overall description of Cascade Range. So imagine if you had nothing and decided to create a map about it. That would be Cascade Range. So there's fish. You can fish boom if you just want to get 4,000 fish and then nothing else. You have 2 ponds to make your fish boom even more difficult. But you're like, wait, that's nothing. I'll have hunts, right? Right. Well, there's one hunt here, one hunt here. I think there's a hunt in the middle, and that's about it. The hunts are not even that big, and the rest is berry bushes. Well, there's coin, right? Well, that's in mines, and there's 1,500 coin in there. There is nothing on Cascade Range. The map is extremely poor in resources, and that favors heavy aggression and map control to make sure you take this middle part of the map. Villagers are going to gather there in 7 or 8 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, you've essentially exhausted everything that's together on Cascade Range, and now there's just a bloody battle to know who's gonna get the last scraps of resources on this map.
Yeah, and I'm going to start a prediction here. Who wins Game 6? India or Russia? Frontline or JulianK? I would have to imagine, like you just said, if this is a map that favors early aggression, in my mind, I'm thinking Russia may have the advantage there. You have strong rushing options as Russia. You, of course, have the old school options with their, they used to be called ruskets, now they're recruits. You also have now the halberdier available in Age 2 with the siege, named Poruchik. I think you have a lot of Age 2 options. Isn't India typically played as a more late game oriented civilization?
So you can have a very strong set of H2 option with India, because India has a decent skirmisher H2, a very powerful musketeer akin to the Janissary, and you can train them all from your aggro fort in H2. So you can have this infantry death ball very early on in the game, and really threaten your opponent. But when it comes to aggression, Russia is king. Like, there's nothing more threatening than Russia, just barging in with 23 strats at 5 minutes and saying, like, yes, I'm one-shotting your villager. Yes, this is 5 minutes into the game. Deal with it. And
Right.
that can be threatening, but again, problem is you have this aggro fort to deal with. And this is a problem and also a blessing in disguise, because more often than not, your aggro fort defends a lot of resources around your base, but this is Cascade Range. You're defending the only resources on the map. Like, after that, where are you gonna go for? Well, I mean, there's not a lot going on around your TC. You have to go, the opposite, on the map, and gather those, because this 1,500 gold tin mine is just gonna run out so fast. So this is a blessing in disguise for Russia, because this is one of the few moments Russia can really choke India out. So I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
I just want to put a quick spotlight on the community because I find this fascinating. I ran a poll before the start of the match, will we see a reverse sweep? The votes were 50-50 on who's going to pull this off. And the comments right now, the comments are split between this is a really good map for Russia, this is going to be great, and I love Russia, but India's just too strong. So they're going both ways, 50-50. The prediction for who's going to win this match is, I think it's 52-48. It's neck and neck.
So, very important part. I think JulianK is going to lose this. And look at that. At the last minute, JulianK saving the blockhouse.
Wow.
And the recruit in range. Huge. This hero is getting lost. 45 XP for Russia, but more importantly, the healing factor is going to be heavily reduced for India early on in this game. So this damage is going to stick.
So I think we need a snapshot of this moment. If JulianK wins this, it may be that moment saving the blockhouse that made the match.
Yes. Also, keep in mind, JulianK is being really, really optimistic here. Double blockhouse at 5 minutes 40. So he really wants to create from double blockhouse. But as you can see, this is extremely difficult at 5 minutes into the game. So this 700 food is really going to help him out. But he won't be able to make villagers in the meantime. And Frontline is already 3 villagers ahead.
Do you think we'll see either player push for the resources on the water?
That could happen, but as I said, that if I'm switching to Mother Nature, there's 4,000 food in there, so there's just enough to make it worth it. But it's not like the most amazing thing.
There have been other maps we've looked at where the water kind of held a lot of resources and would really be a very significant, worthwhile investment. Here, like you said, just barely, but it's not really that big a deal.
Like, put 2 docks on Saguenay, on the pond on Saguenay, and that's a small play. Put 2 docks in there and you're a lunatic. Like, don't do that. That's just not going to happen. So, the only thing that could be also interesting that you have the new Klamath on this map. So Klamath has been changed. I don't remember if it's in this patch or the previous one. these soldiers can gather wood and gather from berries. And berries is one of the main sources of food on Cascade Range. So we could see Klamath play a part here. Not necessarily on frontline spot, but JulianK could consider using them. They are decent skirmishers. And the techs are not that bad. I think there's an eco theory and a buff to the Klamath Rifleman, and also this one, which is pretty nice. That gives you, when the game has passed, or sometimes has passed, quite the amount of food, and Russia loves to have a large amount of food. As we see quite the army there, that's 35 recruits against Frontline, 4 Gorka and 12 seaports. The Cossacks going in, unfortunately, quite a bit of firepower against them. And these are pressure to JulianK because he cannot replace them yet.
Both Indian monks down.
Indeed, both Indian monks, and that is a lot of XP towards Russia. And unfortunately, JulianK fighting under this aggro fort. When you have a lot of low HP units, like Russia has, this adds up. Like, all of this damage is the aggro fort. You can really have a bad time if you keep on fighting at the aggro fort.
With that in mind, is Frontline overcommitting in his response here by pushing out from under the fort?
That's an excellent question. Their sentry, they had a level of HP, and sentries are a mix between the militiamen and the pikemen, so he definitely wanted to get value out of those. But keep in mind, there's all of these units, so if he's not careful, he could very well be surrounded. JulianK is not choosing to do that. Careful on the sowers of the shredded. These shreddeds are gonna get absolutely blasted away by the sword.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a bloodbath. Very good dry box micro from JulianK, saving his units right there. And now this is the opposite. The 2 blockhouses are really putting quite a nice bit of damage on these units, and you don't want to fight under 2 blockhouse for too long. As we have the second batch of Cossacks from the home city coming in, making sure to slow all of these units. Russia loves this kind of fight, where the cost efficiency can really shine. So I don't think Frontline want to stay there too long.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just add in, I think most of our audience probably already knows this, but for those of you who might be new, and we got some comments from people saying I'm brand new to the game. First off, thanks so much for joining us. This is an incredible series to watch and to, get that taste of professional AoE3. One aspect of the game to keep in mind is the element of snaring. When a melee, particularly melee cavalry unit, hits an enemy, that enemy unit has reduced movement speed. And so even if the damage is not necessarily worthwhile, by hitting your opponent with the cavalry's melee attack, you can slow down a whole group of units and make it easier for the others to stay up and keep the damage going. So I think that's what we saw there with the Cossacks.
Indeed, and thanks you so much for pointing that out. I completely forgot we had new people into this game, so yeah.
It's great. We've got so many comments, with the game going, again, like free to play or this demo, whatever. We've had a huge boon in new people playing the game and new people watching it on Twitch. So it's a pleasure to have each and every one of you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you so much for keeping me honest about this. So I'm going to say something that's very important for the new player. Maybe you were looking at the score and saying, "Oh, this Russia guy is not doing so hard right now." Russia is very famous for underscoring. There's a lot of reason for that. Is that most of their units and building are very efficient.
I'm running out of baguette. I need more baguette. Fuck me.
A mix of a tower,
Maybe
a barracks,
I'm gonna go out later
and a
to buy
house.
more.
If you wanted
Right.
all three, we need like 600 wood, but you need only 250, and they are counted at 250 as 250 score. The units are cheaper for Russia. This is a musketeer, which is normally 75 food and 25 gold. But the recruit, which is the equivalent of the musketeer, is much cheaper. So Russia very famously underscore, and if you're new to this game and against a Russian opponent, don't think you'll have the upper hand just because you're like 1k score ahead at 12 minutes.
Right.
You may very well be behind.
Are we going to see the monks go down again?
Yes, so this is free 90 XP, even though it was paid for in blood, because I think he lost quite a bit of recruit there. And there you have it. The death ball for India is slowly but surely starting to form up. Very powerful units that can kill pretty much anything that enters their range. And you tend to see that right now. Those Gorkhas being massed up, you're skirmishing, and whenever the Strellet or anything just comes close, running back to this giant mass of sepoy that can essentially one-shot everything JulianK can feel right now.
Yeah, just remember, guys, this is a best out of 7 series. If Frontline gets the win on this match, he takes the whole series. So JulianK is fighting for his series life here. And we'll have to see whether he can pull it off. By the way, since we were talking about it earlier, I have pulled up the patch notes, and I can tell you how India was changed.
Oh, great.
So,
Thank you very much.
Just to hit the highlights, I think the most important things. The Indians' shipment rate increase curve, the penalty went up from 8% to 10%, so they're going to get shipments a little bit slower. Their Rajputs do less melee damage, but their Gurkha do more melee damage and additional bonus damage against heavy infantry.
So we haven't seen Rajput yet, as we have a huge fight coming in. I don't know who's the clear winner is. A lot of unit being exchanged. JulianK with stable in base, so is now producing Cossacks. So thank you so much for pulling that out. So the shipment curve is basically the amount of XP you need for each and every shipment. Every civilization that gets a bonus with each shipment has a penalty too. Germany, you get Uland with each shipment. It has an 8% XP penalty. And for India, you get, as you would say, one Hindu villager that you can see with each shipment. So the developers thought that this was undervalued. 8% as a penalty, so they just increased it.
It looks like we might get another fight that's about to take place here, but I want to check in real quick. What's our economic situation like? We've got 43 for India.
43 for India, and 38 for JulianK. That is not making any villager right now. Preparing to opt for military right now. So, this is very interesting. Because right now, India is just deciding to go all in and try to siege down these blockhouses, but they're losing a lot of units in the process. As we see the Strelets being moved back, and both players losing their cav mass. And again, even though these guys counter cav, you see they want to be snared, and look at 292 speed and going up to 260. You really want to slow them down so your skirmisher can blast them away. And right now, this is super painful for Frontline. And even though the cav right there is here, the recruits are behind it, and recruits are moving to protect these Strelets that are here. And the Solas are focusing the heavy infantry, so the recruit that are resistant to cav, and protecting the strelets that are good against the Sepoy but weak to camp. So really wonderful micro on Frontline spot, and JulianK taking game 3. We will game to game 7.
That is incredible. Dude, my hat is off to you that you were able to keep casting during that, because I was so enthralled by the battle that I was having a hard time speaking there. We had people in chat, just not a few minutes earlier saying it's over, JulianK's lost, it's Frontline has this. And here we are, 3-3, going into game 7. Absolutely incredible. And by the way, a nice showcase of the new Russia. We didn't get to see the Poruchik, but some Russia coming in clutch, defeating India. What an incredible battle, an incredible match, an incredible series. Guys, if this is your first ESOC video that you're watching, the first professional AoE3 game, you picked a good one to tune into. This is awesome.
Definitely. And the fun thing is, JulianK essentially was like, wait, new Russia? What changed? Because the deck is your Russia standard deck up until H3. Like, I could go on. Oh, maybe, no, sorry, I didn't see New Order Regiment. So he actually had New Order Regiment. So recruits are 10% stronger now.
Okay.
And he made full use of this by making sure these recruits were really up to par. Interesting too that JulianK was completely hell-bent on never relinquishing any centimeter of this map. Mm-hmm. He always was on the offensive, and look at that. Mm-hmm. Frontline is on his last berry bush. That's Cascade Rage for you. He had no food, and if he tried at some point. You saw Sours going there to get some map control, and JulianK was there with the Cossacks. Like, nope, you're getting back towards your town center. He really wanted like no way out for Frontline, and basically, again, Frontline was 100 foot away from collapsing at JulianK's feet, and just preferred to call it.
Wow. What a match.
And all right, also something else is when you're a Russia player and you have a positive ratio, you know you're doing something right, like super right. Mm-hmm. Because this unit is essentially twice the price as this one. So even though it seems that JulianK had like invested so much more into units, like these units are so cheap, and having a positive ratio with them is that much more impressive. Maybe in terms of resources gathered, even though JulianK was a bit behind, the military unit population just speaks for itself. Like, Frontline completely collapsing under JulianK's pressure. Anything to add, Aaron Kaiser?
Let me just ask you a question here. At what point in the cast, in this battle, did you look at the match and think, I think JulianK is actually going to win this? Because I know for me, I'm looking at that, and for the longest while, I was going back and forth, and it seemed like Frontline might have the edge, might have the advantage, and I know that's what some of the chat was saying. At what point did you see, or maybe you thought it was always going to be this way, when did Russia swing into gear and start to gain the momentum?
I'm not going to lie, I've been playing this game for more than 10 years, and until 2 minutes ago, I was sure that JulianK would just run out of resources. That was impressive by JulianK.
Yeah.
It was just wow. Just no other way to say that the madman actually did it. So
I just wonder if maybe on a map where there's so few resources, that when you're able to field an army that has that discount, and you're paying less to get army on the field, I wonder if he saved it specifically for that map and for that bonus to be particularly useful there, where, like you said, the Indian units cost, what was it, like double the Russian units? If that just makes it that much harder on a map with so sparse resources.
That definitely played a role. Like Cascade Range, that's why I emphasize on Cascade Range is that it completely flips a lot of strategies because you cannot rely on a third or fourth hunt because there is no third or fourth hunt. That's as simple as that. And sometimes, yes, it favors aggression, but I was like, this is this feeling like Russia loses so many units, and like there's just so many units you can throw into the meat grinder until you just run out of meat, right? And that's just Russia for you. They just can throw so much more stuff than their counterpart. It just doesn't matter.
What an incredible match. And what an incredible series. I don't think we've had a bad game yet. I mean, this has been impressive from both players from start to finish. What a series.
And we have game 7. I am loading right into it. I restarted my game quickly because I thought I saw a bit of lag early on, and it can happen when there's like large battles. We expected a Russia game. So I'm just reloading this game, and we are. Let me put you guys back into transition mode while I prepare the game. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into it for the last game, for sure, of this best of 7. But stay tuned because we will cast game 4 that we couldn't cast right after this game. Between Frontline playing French against JulianK on the southern part of the map playing German. You cannot have a more classic matchup than this.
Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, if we have some AoE 2 players here, this is your Huns War Arabia in AoE 3. Like, quite literally exactly that. As we have also, and the funny thing is, it's Great Plains, so it's really also the Arabia of AoE 3. It's a vanilla map. It's been in the game since the inception of AoE 3. A very interesting map, lots of resources, but as you can see, these large hunts are very far apart. So you have a lot of food on the map, but you are very susceptible to raids. You also have gold mines on the middle here on the map of this, I would say southeast, equidistant to both players. You have a lot of coin in base, 2,000 coin silver mine right off Cascade Range. It feels like everything in there. But again, this is a very large map, very open. There's basically no way to wall this map properly because you cannot put walls over a trade route.
Right.
So it's really a map that favors mobility and aggression. Two things that both civilizations have plenty of.
And something that I think we've got to talk about is the psychological pressure on Frontline. He won the first 3 games in the series, and he's thinking, okay, I'm on a momentum, I'm on a roll. Just one more game, and I win this set over JulianK. And then now it's almost a reverse sweep. At this point, the pressure's on. Now they're both fighting for victory or defeat here in the series, and I can tell you, he's got to be sweating some bullets. He's got to be thinking to himself, I cannot lose after winning 3 games in a row. Not like this.
Exactly. And I mean, I've been in Frontline's shoes in a mid-level tournament, and I can remember I actually lost the reverse, and I can remember how soul crushing this feels. Of I had this. How could I ever let that go? And I know Frontline has seen so much tournaments of AoE3, and even though he's so much more experienced than I am, I gotta say he's feeling the heat right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how I would feel if I were in JulianK's shoes. On the one hand, I feel a little bit relieved, like, all right, we took it this far, and now I've won 3 games in a row, and now it feels like I've got the momentum. But also, if you let up, if you relax, breathe easy, you just relax a little too much, and you let it slip out from under your fingers one time, you lose the series that you worked so hard to get to this point. So the pressure is on for both players to bring their A game and to bring this thing home.
And you're absolutely right. And also keep in mind, as I said, this is your Hunt's War Arabia. And
right.
When you lose this kind of map, it almost feels like, no, bro, it's not the match. It's not the matchup. It's right. You as a player. It's like you lost the skill-based matchup.
Yeah.
It just feels horrible all the way. And let's look at the deck. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is going to be a wild match. I cannot imagine what it'd be like to be either player here. Like you, I've played in a tournament or two in my own time, and I know the pressure to be in either player situation has to be pretty immense right now. And to their credit, I mean, they're both pro players. They have played this game a lot. They've been in this situation before. And I think that's part of what makes you a pro player. I mean, it's one thing to have the AoE3 skill, the raw talent, but I think part of being a pro, of being so good at this game, is that mental fortitude, for being able to keep calm and cool under pressure. They're being challenged in that way now in Game 7.
I'm sorry, what? Frontline, what's happening? All right. A bit of context. You're in Game 7 of this best of 7. Everything is on the line. And right now, you're trading what can be argued as the worst cavalry unit in the entire game?
He'll never see it coming.
What? I'm sorry, Frontline, what's happening?
So this is H2, Cheyenne Rider coming out. And obviously, let's see, so Frontline. So we know that JulianK, he's going to get Ulan with every shipment, right? So Germany gets free cavalry units as every shipment comes in. The Cheyenne Rider, is that... I'm trying to remember, is that like an anti-cav, or does he just want some sort of response for the inevitable Ulan push?
So as you can see, 2 Ulans with each shipment in H2, 3 for H3, 4 for H4. You are right. So there is a niche for the Cheyenne Rider, is that it's a heavy cav. So just as a comparison, a Hussar has 320 HP and 30 attack, just to give you an idea of why I'm saying this is bad. And this Cheyenne Rider is... Well, it's actually, you're right, it's a good answer to Ulans. Because it has a multiplayer against all cav. So it's doing okay-ish versus Ulans, but... Also, something really interesting to note is that he could train that the second he hit H2. Because you can make the trading post in H1. You cannot train the unit, but you can prepare for that. And the interesting thing about that, he was able to grab that 320 XP treasure. So he essentially had a free shipment because of it. And look at that. He's taking another Cheyenne settlement. Does he have... Oh, wow. I never saw it coming. He has a native deck. All right.
The French are one of the civilizations that can do really strong things with natives. And the Cheyenne make a lot of sense here against Germany with that anti-cav bonus. I love this because I think this is the sort of strategy... This isn't a default. This is not a mindless, typical, just go meta. kind of strategy. This is paying attention to your opponent, to the map, and having the deck ready for something special and unique. This is if Frontline wins this, it's going to be a really cool and well-earned win.
You know I can't root for a player, especially in Game 7. But if I could, that would be Frontline, because that's a hell of a strategy.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Oh,
I'm not rooting. Either player, whoever wins this deserves it. It's well fought. But you've got to give a tip of the hat. When a player pulls out strategies that are this unique, it's something special, and you love to cast it. Makes our job fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, I'm still baffled by the fact I'm seeing this unit and not just one badge. That's 3 badge now. This
is a Cheyenne army.
Like that's persevering in your Cheyenne. I would say I don't know how to say your Cheyenne madness. Maybe it's gonna work. I don't know. That's amazing. I gotta say, I'm so confused right now.
The question is JulianK confused? What do you do against, the Cheyenne rider push that you probably didn't see coming?
So something else that's super interesting. He researched Cheyenne Hunting Ground. This is a tech that gives you 12 bison, so 6,000 food. Right under your TC, so 6,000 food, or if you look at last game, pretty much the entire Cascade range worth of food under your TC, and completely safe to gather at 1.35 food per second because you have CDBs. So Frontline is not going to run out of food anytime soon, and JulianK can even dispatch a few Ulans to raid. The only thing he's going to achieve is just a smaller army. So really doubling down on its native strategies, really well played.
One thing I want to highlight here.
JulianK is housed. And
yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a repeat of Game 1, where Frontline did the same thing. The Ottomans and the Germans are both particularly vulnerable to getting housed. And Frontline targeting the housing, bringing them down. This is a tough spot to be in if you're JulianK.
Oh, that's a catastrophe, and you can see he's trying so hard to get houses because, remember, because it comes with Ulans, right now Germany cannot send shipments at all. So he managed to get 2 houses, like in a blink of an eye, and send 1 shipment.
Wow.
And look at that. Really trying his darndest, but right now JulianK is losing Ulans after Ulans, and these Cheyenne Rider were the play.
Yep.
That is...
What a fight.
So
I know that Germany's eco is idled right now. So undoubtedly France has the better eco. What's the Vil count look like right now?
23 villages with 8, so 31 villagers equivalent, because settler wagons are worth 2 villages.
Right. Against
28. So technically JulianK has the advantage, but, well, if your villagers are in the town center, they're not gathered.
Right.
And the thing is, JulianK is sending H3 shipment after H3 shipment, and sure, these shipments are insanely strong, but here's the thing. Whenever he's sending them, he's getting cleaned up by the army that's right there. And he has no resources other than his settler fighting, because he's not gathering anything. He's out of military production buildings. And Frontline sent native combat. You can see the Cheyenne Rider is buffed. Yeah. And this Cheyenne is looking really juicy right now. That's 24 times 1.5. This is a veteran Hussar against... effectively a veteran Hussar against other Cav. And you have the skirms, and... yeah, sure, JulianK survived, but at what costs?
Yeah, we see war wagons out for Germany, which makes sense. They are an anti-cav unit of themselves, but they are pretty expensive, and I don't know that JulianK has the economy to be able to actually afford these guys sufficiently. Especially because, again, the Cheyenne Rider do bonus damage to cav as well.
And all cav,
Don't
so
think
that includes the war wagon.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they include the war wagons, and war wagons are not that good at kiting. They have a very slow turn time.
For it.
Yeah,
and they have melee resistance. So if these musketeers fire a volley on this war wagon, he's gone.
Right.
And again, like Frontline just happy to spam, and look at the score. Slowly but surely going into Frontline's favor. And JulianK is now sending subpar shipments. 8 skirmishers is good, but now he's sending 7. You feel like he's trying to grasp at straws.
Right.
So, as amazing as it sounds, this Cheyenne Rider strategy, as we see a Cheyenne Riders killing a war wagons. Well, I've now seen everything in my life. As we see JulianK just, I think there will be the last 10 with the skirms, and you can see right now he's trying to use the settler wagon to the best of his ability. But
yeah, he's doing what he can. But
yes,
here come the skirmishers. Can they clean up this musketeer push? And what do you do against the Cheyenne Riders?
It's not going to matter because they counter cav, but they are heavy cav, so they counter skirmishers too.
Yeah. It makes me think that I don't even know if he had this in the deck. I think Doppels would have been a better choice.
Yes.
Try to just push him away.
It's in the deck, but 5 Doppels would have been amazing. And after coming so close to the reverse sweep, Frontline, JulianK losing the final match and Frontline taking it. Holy cow, what a game!
What a game indeed. Wow. What a play. Not just, first, again, I'll let you bring in your analysis of the actual match, because I think there's so much to talk about there. The Cheyenne Riders, the focusing down of the houses to get JulianK pop-capped. The strategies were there, and that was really amazing. But again, I just want to spotlight the psychological element. JulianK coming in, losing 3, he lost his first 3. Then won the second 3 and brought himself to that final point. My hat is off to him just for putting on a show, a clinic on how to run an AoE 3 best of 7 series. He did an amazing job. And then Frontline, winning the first 3 games in dominating fashion, really impressing us all. And then a loss, a very quick, immediate loss. A loss after that, and then a loss after that. And now coming into this final match, realizing if I don't win this, if I don't turn things around, it is game over. And then reaching into his back pocket and pulling out a strategy nobody saw coming and winning the final match. Incredible, just the psychological fortitude of both players. This was an awesome series to watch, an amazing series to cast.
You've said it all. I think I cannot. I'm a caster. I don't have plausible deniability. I said, like, what the hell? Like, why would you ever make that unit? And honestly, I think JulianK thought it too. And
I could say some of the chat did too. They saw that, like, GG, it's over. What is this? Yeah, you are not alone in that reaction.
And that's amazing because, and you said it, Cheyenne Riders are counter-cav. When you look at it rationally, it makes sense against Germany because you know they're going to have cav. You know they're going to double down on cav. But we have this, reflexes of, this is a bad unit. And Frontline just said, yes, it is a bad unit, but in that case, in that moment, on that matchup, it was the best unit. And that was world-class strategizing from Frontline, and showing us why he deserved to win and why would he deserve to win with such panache.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Guys, I hope you enjoy this. Again, I know we've got some new players watching this series. We've got some people who are, eyeing AoE 3. Is this a game you want to get into? What an incredible showing from two of the best players in the game. Showing you what AoE 3 is like at the professional level. This was, again, I can't stop saying it, a wild, incredible series to watch. And this is my first time casting with ESOC and ESOC, and I am tickled pink that this was the series I got to cast first, because this was an incredible, incredible best of 7.
Yes, and again, as I said before, you said it all. It's such a blast to be lucky enough to cast these series, and especially after this game 7, these thing like being the icing on this best of 7 cake, completely taking me and JulianK by surprise. That was amazing. Maybe you can switch to post game real quick. But I think the story's been told. JulianK, least resources, always idle in the TC. We can check the idle time of the villagers. Like this is brutal. This is 24 dead villagers for essentially 5 minutes.
Right.
And the military, like, even though JulianK is having a great KD, this comes at that cost of so many idle villagers to man that TC fire. The resources gathered. Oh, that's a flatline if I've ever seen one. Oof.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, and just again, Frontline completely taking everyone by surprise and winning this game 7 with this outlandish strategy. And so, if you want to get into professional EUE3, remember that in best of 7, the best way to win your next match is to lose the previous 3 ones, and just change your strategy somehow and pull off a fantastic win.
Yeah.
That was amazing. So stay tuned, because we have one last game for you guys. We didn't have time to cast game 4, and it's a really quick game because we didn't even have time to cast it, because the casting system didn't pick it up. So let me put you in transition real quick. I'll update the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting match to check out, even though we figured out who won, because this game, I think, set the tempo for the next 2 games. Where if we rewind time a little bit, JulianK had lost the first 3 matches. Frontline won the first 3, and didn't just win; he won in dominating fashion. Just showed off some incredible micro strategy skills. Just was able to pick off units left and right to slowly snowball a military advantage and overwhelm JulianK's eco-focused strategy. That's what started in the first 3 matches, and then in game 4, and not kind of spoiler alert, but we know who won anyway. We saw that it was JulianK won game 4, and he won it quickly. He won it so quickly that the game was done before we had finished casting game 3 and commenting on game 3. So this game signaled a really significant strategy switch for JulianK, which was really impressive, and I think dictated how he then approached the next couple of games. And again, talking about the psychology, gave him that momentum boost that he needed to bring the series to game 7. So this will be a really fun one to watch, and I think will give us some extra insight into how those last games went.
Definitely, and we have the matchup. So JulianK won this French game against Frontline's Spain. So let me put you guys in transition while I configure the cast.
Here's what I'm wondering. Does JulianK win this with a native unit Cheyenne Rider push?
So I can tell you for sure that will be no Cheyenne Riders, because this was on Central Plains. So while I'm loading up the game, I think we have a video describing Central Plains. We have, so let me just put that for you.
Central Plain is the most populous region of China, home to many Shaolin settlements and wildlife aplenty. An extensive trading route spans across the fertile, open grassland. Controlling this is a surefire way to a powerful economic victory. Fierce competition over each post is essential.
All right, we have welcome, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for this jump in the past for game 4 between JulianK and Frontline. So, bit of spoiler alert because we all know what happened, but JulianK won that game, and he won that game fast enough so that between our commentary and the extra time we took on the 3 games and the spectator delay, we didn't have time to get into that game. So this is why we're casting it right now. So as you saw through the video, this is in Central Plain, famous for its very long and lucrative trade route. On the southern part of the map, JulianK with the French is playing against Frontline on the northern part with the Spanish. Are you a Frenchman or Spanish man, Iron Kaiser?
Not really. Not primarily. Actually, I very rarely played the French, which is kind of surprising because the French are maybe the classic AoE 3 civ. If you had to pick one, you'd pick France. Spain, I've played a little bit. I enjoy Spain. I've played more Germany, Russia, Dutch. Those are some of my favorite civs. So yeah, not super familiar with either of these civilizations. How about you? What civilization, if you were in a best of 7, like what would be your go-to civs?
The main squeeze would be for me would be Frontline civilization, Spain. I really love Spain. Super versatile civilization, a lot of tempo, a lot of different ability to take the momentum away from your opponent and really keep the dream alive, I would say, whatever the age you're in. So Spain abilities that they get shipment faster than other civilizations, essentially. So you can really have a really high tempo game and make sure you again stay on the offensive,
right?
And really take the game that way through tempo.
Yeah.
So in terms of deck and strategies, we see Frontline going for 30-20. Interesting. So it's more of a slower play. You tend to see a lot of friends going for what is called a 12-10. So what it means is you have 12 villager over 10 population. The way you do it is you have 9 villager and you ship the 3 villager shipment,
right,
which allows you to overpop for the new player out there. It's often used because CDBs are better than your average villagers. Actually, one CDB is worth 1 villagers and a quarter. So 12 villagers, 12 CDBs around 15 villagers.
Wow.
That allows you to age up very quickly. It's barely 3 minutes and you're already age 2, which is pretty fast. Frontline, not that far behind for Spanish standards, which is interesting. Governor for Spain, more often than not, this is a telltale sign that you want to go for an H3 play. The Governor gives you 200 coin and a tower. The tower helps you to stay safe from raids or pressure that you would get in H2. And the 200 coin helps you to get to H3, which costs 1,200 food and 1,000 coin.
Yeah, which I gotta say, I'm a little surprised by that choice. If we rewind time, we go back. Frontline has won 3 games in a row. He's now in game 4, and he's won them on tempo. He's won them on aggression. And here in game 4, he's picked a civilization that's good at aggression and tempo. You just finished saying that. to go for the governor and kind of a fast age 3 is an interesting choice. I'm not saying it's the wrong choice, although we know how this game ends. But it's very interesting to me that he didn't try some kind of aggressive age 2 play. Plus, I find this fascinating from both players, opening very early on with trade routes. Where we saw, like, I think the previous match was with Mexico, where Frontline had control of the trade route for a long time and did not consider that a priority in that match. But here, right away, both players, trade routes.
See?
Yes, and very interestingly enough, Frontline has 2 TP because he went for advanced trading posts, which made trading posts cheaper and stronger. So Frontline's entire strategy revolves around keeping that trade line alive.
Right.
And interestingly enough, because he has so much TPs right now, and because Spain has this ability to have shipments for less XP than others, he can send shipments back to back. And you can see that he actually removed I think one villager in queue to get this 5 settler shipment in Overpop. And he can now finish Musketeers. So really interesting strategy on Frontline, just taking the whole trade line. JulianK, on the other hand, I think JulianK is just happy to send 700 coin. That's very interesting because it looks like he's playing to go h3, but he's not. So he wins this game. Man, that's so interesting because I would never bet on JulianK right now.
Yeah, I think if I put a prediction up, who would win this, there'd still be a good number of votes. Frontline, because he's in a strong position right now. I just want to jump in because I'm getting a couple of comments from people asking, wait a minute, why are we watching a game here? And I thought the series was over. Yes, the series is done, but game 4 we skipped over in the cast. So now that the series is finished, we're going back and taking a look at this quick match. It did not last long. We're going to see a winner fairly quickly. But we're going back and casting the one game that we had to skip over in our path to the final Game 7 of our 7-game series, which now is complete.
So one interesting thing is that JulianK built a trading post on the trade route. And because Frontline has so much TPs, he went for Stagecoach. So JulianK is essentially, being like a parasite on this trading post, taking the Stagecoach socket away from Frontline. And the thing is, Frontline wanted to take down that trading post, and he took some losses from JulianK. JulianK aging up to H3 with the Exile Prince, so it gives you no reward, but ages faster than the other politicians. And I think JulianK is going to look at a timing where he sends Falconets, because these Falconets are very safe with, there you go, to kill this trade line. And keep in mind, Frontline has invested 1 shipment and about 600 wood to get this trade line. And on top of that, he has invested an extra 400 resources to upgrade the trade line. So effectively, half of pretty much all of these economic output in the last minute was dedicated to the trade line. So given what we know, it would not be a surprise if JulianK rolled down with the 2 Falconet and basically wrecked this whole trade line.
Here they come. A little bit of interesting trivia for you. Again, patch came out recently, brought a lot of changes to the game. One of the changes is that the European civilizations explorers all now have their own unique quirk. They're all different in some small way. And the French explorer now builds trade posts faster than other civilizations explorers. I don't think that's terribly relevant in this match. Might have been a little relevant in the last one, considering how the Cheyenne Rider kind of made that game, but it's kind of a little interesting thing for those of you, again, who are not yet up to date on all the changes that came with the latest patch. The Spanish, of course, still train war dogs. That's their thing. Nothing changed there. But I agree with you.
So
Also, another bit of trivia. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we have a bit of a raid that went south, quite literally and figuratively. And also, look at that.
In the trees, they won't find it.
I mean, it's working so far.
It's working, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So JulianK lost this TP, but Frontline is losing even more TP, and JulianK is using... Let's see, I don't think if JulianK will switch again, but he switched this one to wood. So JulianK is using Frontline's own trade line to get the TP, to get the wood, to steal his trade line. So that's kind of an evil genius move right there.
Brilliant, yeah.
And all the while, Frontline went for House of Trastamara. So much stuff to discuss. There's so much stuff happening. For each shipment, your next age, just the next age, you send the card. So age 3 if you send in age 2, age 4 if you send in age 3, etc. is cheaper and faster. So Frontline basically using a shipment to give himself exiled prince right now. Because keep in mind, these musketeers are veteran, these one are not.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he has the trade line, but obviously when you look at where the army is, JulianK could very well send some unit to kill this trading post and steal a trade line he paid good resources, good money to upgrade.
There's no worse feeling in a strategy game than investing so many resources only to let your enemy benefit from them. You know? And here, this big push on the town center. What do you do as Spain?
This is what it was a short game. Like, position is perfect. The Dragoons are here to protect. It's super hard to raid these guys. The TC is down, so now he has to win this fight. And he invested a lot of resources to get those falconets, but what is he doing afterwards? He's not training any villagers.
Yeah.
JulianK has the same amount of villager, but they are CDBs, so they're better. Sorry. And Frontline is down to his last, 20 musketeers. He can train more. He has the pop to do it, but I don't think he'll have the equal long term.
Yeah. At this moment right here, what's the Vil count look like?
So 32 for Frontline, and 32 CDBs again, so about 40 for JulianK. Right. So not only Frontline is out of eco production right now, because obviously he doesn't have a DC, but JulianK was not behind by any means. And now with his free time, he could even look to kill those advanced trading posts. Although keep in mind, they do have an attack, so you cannot just send 2 pikemen and take them down. The trading post would be able to defend itself.
Mm-hmm.
So Frontline is slowly training Lancers. So he has one shot to make it work because the Dragoon are a bit slow to kill them, and Dragoon really don't like road arrows. So we get a good amount of values on the skirmishers right there. But
yeah,
those Dragoons, they can run away from the fight. There's no problem about that. They can wait for the skirmishers. This is exactly what they do.
Yeah, it feels like at this point, JulianK can't really lose a battle. He can maybe not win, but he can always just retreat whenever the numbers don't work out for him. And because, Frontline still doesn't have a town center, his eco's stuck. And France always has the opportunity to keep growing the eco and just keep the economic power developing. I just don't see at this point. I think we're just waiting for that GG.
Definitely.
Nice flank. I'll give him this. This is a cool move here with Rolero.
This is
and again, guys, I was just going to say for the newer players, melee units typically snare, so that includes the Rodolero. When those swordsmen came moving in and hit with the sword, that slowed down France's entire army there. So that let Spain do more damage than they otherwise would have. It's pretty cool, but I don't know that it's enough. Actually, I do know it wasn't enough to turn the fate of this game around.
So another thing that's really interesting, that most melee attacks are at 1.5 speed, whereas most ranged attack are at 3. So even though melee can feel a bit underwhelming at times, it's almost double compared to range. So Rolero will do a lot more damage than you'd think. But even though they do a lot of damage, that's still not enough. Like, these Dragoons are Dragoons, so they're super mobile. Frontline doesn't have enough resources to train skirmishers, which would be the normal response to Dragoons. So he's training Roleros with our fine and everything, but again, there's a lot of skirmishes. Frontline is doing an amazing job at trying to make that
he's doing very well.
Skirmisher composition work. Like, he's like pushing the goons away so the Lancer can really express themselves on the skirmishers.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's just he's been out of the TC for so long now. JulianK doesn't care at this point. JulianK is like about at 50 villagers. He's like 28. JulianK he's not even bothering with the TP. He's letting Frontline benefit from his trade line.
Yeah. Am I seeing incorrectly, or is Blue building a town center? Do we see a TC going up?
He was building a TC.
Does not matter. The GG's called. Yep. I think that was a good GG. I always say that you know somebody's winning where I think even if JulianK, if Frontline was allowed to put in a cheat code and delete all of JulianK's army, I mean he's probably still losing this fight because the eco difference is just so high. That was a good time to call it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. We can even confirm that with resources. Oh wow! What the? Never mind. Frontline with ahead in terms of resources. Well,
there's Caster's curse right there.
So, what is due to is the free resources. This is 3K5 difference. So, when we say Central Plains trade route is very lucrative, we mean it. Like, these guys were able to give Frontline a 3.5K economic lead in terms of resources.
That's incredible.
Like, this is 35 musketeers. When you look at it that way, that's like a fourth of his entire military was paid for by trade routes. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah. What a game.
Yeah. I think also what decided it was he had the resources, but look at that military count from JulianK. Whenever Frontline was trying to spike up, he would be immediately brought down by the mass already present by JulianK. Frontline just couldn't enjoy a large military population that his economy would provide him, should he have the time to do so.
Wow. What a match. What a match. What a great showcase of JulianK's skill here in this final battle. Again, let's rewind the clock a little bit. JulianK had lost the first 3 in a row. This was a fight for his tournament life. He came back and really effectively won this match. Dominated in quick, decisive action. and that led him to then proceed to win really awesome games in the next 2 of the series, bringing us to 3-3 before that final battle. And maybe if I want to throw one last bit of narrative in this story, maybe this game, as much of a blessing as it was for JulianK, it kept him alive in the tournament. Maybe it had a little bit of a curse hidden in that he's playing France and he won France in a very, I don't want to say typically French way, but he used his French roster. And he used a certain strategy, and I wonder if that maybe kind of conditioned him into that final match to expect typical French strategies and to be caught by surprise with this Cheyenne rider push in Game 7. Maybe that played a small role in how that final battle went. That was just such an incredible end to an incredible series.
Definitely. I think sometimes, you pull off wins like that, you could feel confident. You can begin to hope. The momentum is on your side. And
right.
Honestly, if Frontline didn't pull off the crazy stuff he did with the Cheyenne Riders, maybe this will be a 4-3 for JulianK.
Yeah, maybe. Guys, well, again, I'm at a loss for words. I can't say it enough. This was an incredible game, an incredible series, and it was an absolute blast for me to cast this alongside you, man. Very, very well done. Dunamai, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Aaron Kaiser. I think I know it's your first time casting AoE3, but from what I know, you are a caster in AoE2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I am a caster in AoE2. Yeah, I've hosted a couple of tournaments a tournament in AoE2 and a tournament in AoE3, and I cast both games. I love them both. I know there's kind of a rivalry between AoE2 and AoE3, but I'm a huge fan of both games, and they're a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to cast. So yeah, this was an absolute blast.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I love AoE2 too. I'm one of these filthy goth lovers, so I will shut my mouth about AoE2, but for fear of personal attacks. But
Right.
But yeah, I think both games are awesome, and obviously I'm more an AoE3 caster because,
right.
Well, the last thing I just said away to just disqualifies me as ever being a caster or anything in this game. But yeah, I think it's awesome to have you men on board. It was really great casting on your part, and it shows that you have some experience.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
I
thought we made a great team, and I think I'm seeing some of that in the comments too. Thanks, guys. It was awesome to be casting for such an amazing audience like you guys.
So I haven't seen much of the chat, but I think from what the little bits I've seen in between games, I've seen a very positive chat. Even if there was a little banter, but that's the game. That was awesome. You've been an awesome chat. I don't think the mods had to do a lot of work to keep this chat civil.
Yeah, no. Chat was great.
You've been behaving great, and that's always a blast. Thank you so much for being here. We are having great numbers. It feels like AoE3 is having this revival with this demo and free-to-play, and we're happy to help the momentum build. Quick shout-outs to everyone that either subscribed or followed during the cast. We're obviously focused during the cast, but I was not seeing your names pop up, but know that thank you so much for being a part of this and helping us bring those numbers up. Also, a quick shout out to the partners of ESOC. So Yukitis Cuties, Biblioteca, Free Food Party Discord, the Age of Sunbro Discord, Nicius's Fire Pit, the House of Jaeger, so AOEMC, which is JulianK's Discord for 3D, Royal Clan, and the AoE3 Game Archive. So thank you so much for these partner clans for relaying the ESOCcast. And well, I think that's it for today. We are going to raid, so people in the chat feel free to put some raid ideas while we are looking at potential raids. I think we had someone on Discord asking us for a raid. Shake versus Luketon. They're playing right now? Free Food Party is playing right now? All right.
That sounds good. That should be a good series to watch.
Very good. So I think I'm going to start the raid. Let me just put /raid. Free food pod. I can't find free food pod for the life of me.
Là, c'est... Enfin, faut pas mettre un seul...
Excuse me. Free food party. Raid free food party. So again, as we're starting this raid, thank you so much for being there, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you around, guys. Have a great one.